Hello, and welcome to today's Hip Historian Happy Hour virtual tour. As you know, I am Brenda Holt with the Arizona State Office of AARP, the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. And with a nationwide presence of nearly 38 million members across the nation and approximately 900,000 right here in Arizona, we work to strengthen our communities and to advocate for what matters most to our families. The month of December is also Caregiving Month. We will help you navigate planning for you and your loved one's future care. Don't leave decisions around your home, your health, and your finances to someone else. You want to be in the driver's seat. Visit us for resources and more information at aarp.org/caregiving or aarp.org/AZ. Enjoy the show and happy holidays.
Ladies and gentlemen, worldwide every folk, welcome to the show. Get ready to meet your host for the night, Arizona's very own hip historian himself, Pancho Claus.
Well, hello and good evening. I want to welcome you all to a very special edition of Arizona History Happy Hour. Yay! Oh my gosh. So, have we got a night in store for you all? But you'll have to wait to find out quite what all is going on. So, my name is Marshall Shore, and I am the hip historian, but we'll go into that in just a few minutes. I want to welcome you all. I am so happy that you can all join us today, December 22nd. Oh my gosh, this is our next to the last show of the year. And so, on December 22nd, there's some fun things that have happened. Way back in 1936, the JCs, who were famous for the rodeo parade. Well, on this date back in 1936, they were having their 18th tree raising event. This time it was at University Park. In the past, it had been at Phoenix Union High School as well as the Adams Hotel. And so they were expecting about 5,000 girls and boys coming to collect presents, talk to Santa, and to have just a great community event. So the JCs just kept doing good work even beyond just that famed rodeo parade that would happen right down Central. All right. So it is also National Short Person Day. So, great things come in small packages. And National Short Person Day is a day where we can celebrate all those short people and all that they bring. Now, it is also National Date Nut Bread. It might be too cold for a date shake as you travel around, but it is not too cold for a nice warm slice of date nut bread. Maybe a little smear of some butter on it to make it even more tasty and to help warm you up on a cold winter morning here in Arizona. So it is also National Cookie Exchange Day. This is a day where a host would throw a party and everybody would bring handmade cookies. And so people would get to choose between those famous thumbprint cookies, gingerbread, but there's sugar cookies, there's chocolate chip, there's snickerdoodles. My gosh, there are so many cookie options of what people can take to a cookie exchange to enjoy themselves. As well as today is National Mathematics Day for a famed Indian mathematician, Srivastava Ramanujan. And although he had no formal training, his mathematics, he made significant contributions to mathematical analysis, number theory, infinite series, and continued fractions, which I have no idea what a continued fraction is, but. And he also was able to provide solutions for mathematical problems that people had considered to be unsolvable. Now, it is also the 5th night of Hanukkah. And it's an important one, just like they all are. But this is the first night where the majority of the candles are lit. So it is a representation of light and darkness, as well as resilience and endurance. Oh my gosh, so much fun happening today. All right. So what can you expect on this episode of Arizona History Happy Hour? Well, we have trivia coming from a very special guest, as well as Little Arizona from the vault, and a very super, super duper special edition of Arizona music. I'm so excited. As well as there is indeed a beverage. So, all right. So if this is your first time watching, you might wonder, who is that man and why is he on my screen? Well, I started off just almost 23 years ago to the day. I was in Brooklyn at a beautiful Carnegie building, decided to trade that snow and that slush for something else. And that would be a little library just south of Buckeye. And, there was this rich oral tradition of the community. And we'll talk about a little bit about that later on. And that got me looking at Arizona, I think, in a whole different way. And then promptly moved into a beautiful 1956 ranch house. And, it is pretty much a time capsule. Why, there is my buttercream yellow tile, oven, and matching stovetop that all still work like a charm. But as soon as I moved here, all I heard about how there was no history here. But I knew that wasn't true because every time I went on an adventure, whether it was on foot, on bike, on a bus, in a car, it didn't matter how I was getting around. I kept running into so many amazing people, places, and stories. And so, as the hip historian, I get to have a lot of fun with Arizona history. Now, we didn't do a tour this month of Haunted History of Downtown Phoenix, but next month on January 7th, we have a special deal so you can give the gift of history to someone you like, maybe even join them yourself, or just give. All right. And then also, and I think just a little bit ago, it went live, but I was part of the Front Door magazine, which just came out probably about an hour ago. So I give a book recommendation talking a little bit about Pearl Hart, one of the most famed or infamous celebrities in Arizona's past. And, it's so funny. It's only been 2 weeks, I think, since they started really digging up that bowling alley across from Westward Ho. And oh my gosh, it's been so much fun to see it go through Reddit, Instagram, all the different socials and everything else. I know people have been like Channel 12, which aired the segment. We just did a reboot of that a little last week, as well as I know they're getting information from like Detroit, people calling from all over the place with just a little bit of tidbits and sharing some stories about that underground bowling alley. So I see many of you already have found the chat. If at some point you want to reach out to me and, maybe you have a great idea for a show, maybe you've got an amazing guest, I love to hear from you. And sometimes y'all give me things that's like, hey, what about this? And that's fun to go off and research down that rabbit hole. But, you can reach out on Facebook, Instagram, email, or even via my website. It's all Hip Historian. And so now we get to Little Arizona. And so Little Arizona. So we're going to talk about Christmas, Arizona, which is in Gila County, has a population of 0. It was founded off in 1902. And so the two founders of the town, Dennis O'Brien and Bill Tweed. I'm reading right now from Arizona Place Names from the Will Barnes book, which is a lot of fun because it gives you a lot of information about, so many towns. And so they had issue, and so they were able to change the boundary lines, and the decree was signed a few days before Christmas of 1902, and a wire was sent to them, and they got word of it on Christmas Eve. And so that is why they named the town Christmas, Arizona. Now, once it got a post office, it was a very popular place to send letters to be mailed from. So people would send their mail to Christmas, Arizona, so that way it would be postmarked Christmas. And so, there's what it looked like as a mining town. Quite an industrious little town. And at its height, it had about 1,000 people living, working in Christmas, Arizona. Today, it is basically has been swallowed up by the mine, as you can see. Now it is just down the road from Superior, kind of almost between, but it's not far from Winkleman as well. So, or just a little bit south of Superior. So an easy place to get to, but sadly, it's not there anymore. So I guess no more Christmas. All right. So now, it would not be happy hour if there was not a beverage. And so tonight, PJ has come up with a devilish little cocktail to help celebrate the holidays. And so tonight's beverage is called, there we go, Naughty Nog. So it's got a little bit of chai liqueur, some Amaro Montegro, some golden flarinum, and some coconut chai tea reduction. Wow, it does taste like eggnog with no egg and a little bit of nog. So there you go. So indeed. All right. So now I am so excited to bring to you a super special guest this evening. Now, our guest is actually on the road. Well, actually, probably in the workshop, still busy preparing and making sure that everything, all those kids get their presents. I would like to bring on Santa Claus.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, Marshall. How are you this fine evening?
I am delightful. And how about yourself, Santa?
Busy, busy.
I can only imagine you and the elves are probably making all kinds of magic for folks around the globe.
It's exhausting but rewarding work. That's for sure.
All right. So I'm assuming everybody knows who Santa is, but just give us a little reminder of who is Santa.
Well, my name is Santa Claus, aka Father Christmas, aka Saint Nicholas, aka Kris Kringle, and I am hundreds of years old. I live north of Phoenix, way north at the North Pole. I'm the CEO of a multi-million-dollar toy-making company, which I work from home, where I employ thousands of elves who work around the clock, year-round, producing all manners of toys for children the world over. Toys, which you may have heard, are then delivered worldwide December 24th. Now, this is no crackerjack operation here, Marshall, let me tell you. And with the technological advances seen in the global toy market just over these last few decades, I can also tell you, Marshall, that it doesn't get any easier for the elves to assemble these toys either. Oh, the days of gifted wooden carvings are long over, my friend. Everything, it seems, is electronic nowadays. But we change with the times, In my spare time, I'm an avid fan of the Edmonton Oilers hockey team and enjoy weekend ice fishing. And did you want me to say a little something about Mrs. Claus?
Sure. Tell us a little about Mrs. Claus. What is she doing right now?
Right now, she's in the workshop supervising. But what else can I really say about Mrs. Claus? My wife, Mrs. Claus. She's a real battle axe.
Oh my. I think it's time we probably should move on to doing some trivia. Oh my gosh. Okay. So here at Happy Hour, we always love to do some trivia. And today is no exception for that. And so, you can keep track of your trivia if you would like. I know Anita likes to do it in a special notebook that she has just for her trivia. I've got one friend that likes to keep sending me photos of an appendage that he rates the answers on. And so some folks keep track of it in the chat. You can do whatever you would like. Maybe you want to put it on a chocolate and wait so that way when you're done, you can have lots of chocolates with the answers on them. But, all right. So let's go ahead. And so what we do is we have our multiple choice trivia questions, and then we'll come back and talk about the answers. All right. So question 1. When was the last time it snowed on Christmas Day in Phoenix? Was that A, 1916, B, 1957, B, 1974, or D, 1989? Now, not that it was the last time it snowed in Phoenix, but this is when it snowed on Christmas Day. I'm sure making Santa's job a little bit harder, going through all that snow in the desert. All right, question 2. Which Arizona ghost town was once a popular holiday destination? Was it A, Castle Dome, B, Christmas, C, Vulture City, or D, Santa Claus? Which one of those now ghost towns was once a popular holiday destination? All right, question 3. What city was designated Arizona's Christmas City by then Governor Rose Mofford back in 1989? Was it A, Prescott, B, Vulture City, C, Bisbee, or D, Phoenix? So what did former Governor Rose Mofford designate as Arizona's Christmas City? All right, question 4. Who decorated the I-17 Mystery Christmas tree each year? Was it A, Arizona Department of Transportation employees, B, Santa's elves, C, former Governor Rose Mofford, or D, we don't know because it's a mystery? All right, so who do you think decorates that mystery tree up on the 17? All right, question 5. How many games have the Phoenix Suns played on Christmas Day? Would it be A, 0, B, 7, C, 8, C, 18, or D, 42? All right, so which one of those do you think is the right answer? All right, coming down on the other side. So every year, shock rocker Alice Cooper hosts Christmas Pudding, a show that raises money for a good cause. But what does Christmas pudding feature? Would it be A, world famous pudding chefs visiting Phoenix to make pudding? Could it be B, amateur pudding wrestling? C, mostly dried fruit? Or D, world famous musical talent playing concerts right here in Phoenix? So what do you think is Christmas pudding by Alice Cooper. What does it feature? All right. Question 7. Which Arizona city displays a Christmas tree made out of tumbleweeds each year? Is it A, Tucson, B, Chandler, C, Tombstone, or D, Winkleman? All right, so which city is famous for its tumbleweed Christmas tree every year? All right. What resort was where White Christmas was written? Oh, there's a lot of W's in that. Oh my gosh. Good thing I didn't have too much of my naughty nog. All right, so would that resort be Camelback Inn, Arizona Biltmore, Hermosa Inn, or the Jokaki Inn? So where do you think White Christmas was written? Or I guess we should also be glad Barbara Walters is not doing this. All right. Question 9. Where does Santa appear making an appearance from a school rooftop on Christmas Eve? Would that be A, Bisbee, B, Jerome, C, Prescott, or D, Ajo? So where does Santa make an appearance on top of a high school? It's in one of those cities. All right. And then what Arizona city, I'm sorry you have to hear this, what Arizona city killed Santa Claus? Was it A, Bisbee, B, Phoenix, C, Mesa, or D, Flagstaff? What Arizona city disposed of Santa? Trying to think of a nice way to break it to Santa, but it was one of those cities. All right.
Marshall, I'm not sure I heard that last question right.
That's why we're moving on. We're moving on. Don't worry about that question.
More about this curious case of homicide for the end of the night.
Indeed, you will. All right. So now, oh my gosh. Okay, so while you're locking in your final answers for trivia, oh my gosh, we're going to take an Arizona music break. And so we're going to talk a little bit about Lalo Guerrero. So he is basically the godfather of Chicano music. And so he did a lot of different things. And so he was also represented Arizona at the World's Fair back in 1939. Wrote the music that became Zoot Suit. He also had a song called Pancho Claus that his son Dan put into a picture book form, and Bob Mackey illustrates this. And so I am so excited because we have a very special reading from Dan Guerrero's friend Louis Perez. Now, that name you might remember from Los Lobos. And so he is going to do a reading of Pancho Claus, as well as David Hidalgo is going to be off camera with a little bit of music going on in the background. So, Pancho Claus, please.
This is Pancho Claus by Lalo Guerrero. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the casa, Mama was busy preparing the masa to make the tamales for the tamalada and all the ingredients for the enchiladas. Papa in the front room with all the muchachas was dancing the mambo and doing the cha-cha. My brothers and sisters were out in the hall listening to Elvis sing rock and roll. When all of a sudden there came such a racket, I jumped out of bed and I put on my jacket. I looked out the window and out on the lawn was my old Uncle Pedro with the mariachi San Juan. He ran in the casa and grabbed the guitarra and yelled, "Ay, ay, ay! Guadalajara, Guadalajara!" I was starting to wonder, as I lay there alone, how old Santa Claus was to visit my home. With all of this noise, they would scare him away, when all of a sudden I heard someone say, Hey, Pablo, Chuchito, Gordito, Jose, get up there, you guys, if you want your hay. And what to my wandering eyes did appear? 4 cute little donkeys instead of reindeer. They pulled a carretera that was full of toys for all us good little girls and boys. The fat little driver waved his big sombrero and yelled, "Merry Christmas, Feliz Año Nuevo." That means Happy New Year in Spanish. And then I heard him sing, "I am Santa's cousin from south of the border. My name's Pancho Claus, and I bring you your order." I heard him exclaim as he drove past the porches, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all buenas noches."
Oh my gosh, Dan, thank you so much for letting me play your friend Louis Perez from Los Lobos reading your dad's story. Oh my gosh, what a treat that was. All right, so now who's ready for some answers? I know I am. I'm sure Santa is waiting to tell you some.
Waiting. Let's do this.
All right. So, Santa, when was the last time it snowed on Christmas Day here in Phoenix?
Last time was in 1974 when a mix of rain and snow fell, and it pretty much melted as soon as it hit the ground. And that was reported by the Arizona Republic back in 1974. But before that, the last time before that, it snowed in 1916. And let me tell you, while the snow melted quickly then, too, it was a real humdinger flying in by sleigh that year. Prancer was temporarily blinded by an unexpected flurry of icy wind sludge, but that reindeer is one tough cookie, so we pulled through and delivered just fine. Of course, that ain't nothing compared to navigating the Chicago blizzard, but then what is?
Indeed, because Arizona or Christmas in the desert is such a unique place to be. For not just Santa Claus, but everyone else. All right, so question 2. Which Arizona ghost town was once a popular holiday destination?
Santa Claus, Arizona, established 1937. Located about 14 miles northwest of Kingman on U.S. Route 93. In its early years, the town was a popular attraction for those driving between Phoenix and Las Vegas and featured Christmas-related buildings. And its U.S. Post Office was widely used in December by kids sending letters to the town addressed to me, and by adults wanting their letters postmarked from Santa Claus. And then in the mid-1970s, it all started going downhill badly. And by 1983, the entire town was listed for sale, but there were no buyers. Things fell further into disrepair, and as of early this year, all the remaining buildings removed them. So Santa Claus, Arizona is, I am sorry to say, no more.
Wow, I didn't know they had removed everything. I'm going to be up in that neck of the woods soon, and I was hoping to stop by, but I guess...
Sorry to give you such ho-ho horrible news.
Indeed, that is ho-ho horrible news. All right, question 3. What city was designated Arizona's Christmas city by then Rose Mofford, who was governor back in 1989?
The answer is A, Prescott. But did you know 3 of the names originally proposed for Prescott were Abaddon, Goodwin City, and Athlon? But the name Prescott stuck and was chosen in honor of William Hinckley Prescott. Now, needless to say, the Goodwin family was not happy about the choice, but everybody else liked it. And as far as why Prescott was designated Arizona's Christmas city, it's because of the town's festive lighting ceremony, which usually takes place the first Saturday in December, during which the Christmas story as told in the Bible is read. And it's as simple as that, really.
Ah, and all those lights.
They love their lights in Prescott.
They do indeed. All right, question 4. Who decorated the I-17 Mystery Christmas tree?
We don't know. That's the mystery. It's a living tree in the medium of Interstate 17, 55 miles north of downtown Phoenix, between Sunset Point and Cordes Junction. A 20-foot tall juniper decorated annually for 30 years. But here's the thing. It's actually shaped like a bush, nearly as wide as it is tall, and it's a Christmas miracle it survived at all, considering that median is often the site of brush fires ignited by passing vehicles, and that bush has been scorched from time to time. Frankly, I'm surprised it survived at all.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And that it's not a tree, but it is a Christmas bush.
Yes. It's just been a lot of conjecture and competing theories, but at the end of the day, we simply don't know who's been decorating that tree.
And some things are better left unknown. All right, question 5. How many games have the Phoenix Suns played on Christmas Day?
18. And I'll be honest, I had to look this one up. I don't have much time to follow the sports, with the exception of the Edmonton Oilers, of course, because being the CEO of a multi-million-dollar toy-making company keeps me pretty busy.
Well, and also Christmas Day, you're busy recovering from Christmas Eve.
Working hard.
Indeed. Wow. All right. Question 6. Every year, Alice Cooper hosts Christmas pudding. What is Christmas pudding all about?
The answer is D, world famous musical talent playing in concert. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I wish the answer was A, world famous pudding chefs visiting Phoenix to make pudding. Oh, what a sight that would be. Chefs from around the globe cooking pudding aplenty in Phoenix, bringing such a sweet, edible culture to your dessert city, rocking it out by the spoonful. But no, it's a concert.
Indeed. And so we actually have somebody who said, who owns a property that the mystery tree sits on? I'm assuming it's ADOT because it's in the middle. It's in the median.
That would be my assumption as well.
All right. So question 7. Which Arizona city displays a Christmas tree made out of tumbleweeds every year?
Now, I've heard of tumbleweeds used to feed cattle and burning them to make soap and cooking them the same way you cook collard greens to eat. And the Navajo even found medicinal uses for the tumbling tumbleweed. But now we can add fashioning them into a stack full of Christmas trees to that list. And who knows? Well, Chandler knew, because Chandler has their tumbleweed Christmas tree.
And I hear that it takes like hundreds of gallons of paint, flame retardant, because there was a story they were telling about once about how a youth would sneak into the tree and smoke a cigarette. And one random cigarette suddenly lit the whole tumbleweed tree on fire. And so since then,
sure he was on the naughty list that year, Marshall.
I'm sure he was on many naughty lists that year. And probably got some coal.
Indeed, he probably did.
All right. So, what resort was where White Christmas was written?
The Arizona Biltmore.
Indeed. Irving Berlin is said to have been sitting by the Marilyn Monroe pool as he was wishing he was elsewhere. But he saw, and there is a little known or sung verse talking about how the sun is shining, the grass is green, the orange and the palm trees sway. So one of the most popular Christmas songs ever written was written right outside the Arizona Biltmore. Which, if you get a chance, go check out their lights. I love the lights. I love the Arizona Biltmore this time of year. But, so many amazing spots to go to for lights. One of my favorite places to go for lights would also be the Mormon Temple out in Mesa. I mean, now the fact that they've done their remodel, I hear they're back to lighting all those lights again. So, as well as we have the Pratt brothers who won a TV show for their over-the-top Christmas decorations. So we are a city of all kinds of lights. And then, oh my gosh. Okay. So where do you show up on Christmas Eve on a rooftop?
Ajo, Arizona. Believe it or not, I appear in the Curly School Tower and then ride to the Ajo Plaza in my sleigh. It's a good time. It's a good break from everything else going on at Christmas. I can stop into Ajo, have a little hot cider, take a little sleigh ride, say hello to the kids. Good times. Ajo.
And one of the things I love about that is the fact that they do with Rotary, they also provide chocolate and oranges. So there are these big like mining carts that they just sit there and keep filling full and full. So people can come by and grab an orange, some chocolate, and get a chance to see Ajo at Christmas.
This is why I tie up the reindeers in the back. All that chocolate and oranges.
Oh, that makes sense because you don't want like
Santa's on the naughty list.
Indeed. All right. So, as with question 10 is all about, as you put it, a ho 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 homicide. What Arizona city killed Santa Claus?
Mesa. Are we shocked?
Back in 1932, airplanes were a brand new fangled contraption. Some people had never seen them before. And so the editor of the newspaper and a local marketer thought, why don't we have Santa jump out of a plane? And that was the idea. But, they actually didn't use the real Santa Claus, luckily. They had a stand-in, but he couldn't deal with the pressure. So they found him in a bar, and he had had a little too much to drink to be able to jump out of a plane, pull the ripcord, and land in his parachute. So McPhee decided that he would go to the local department store and get a mannequin, put on the Santa suit and the parachute, and that's just what they did. And so the plane takes off and is up in the air as hundreds of families are there to see Santa jump out of a plane. And Santa indeed does get out of the plane. But remember, it's a mannequin. And so suddenly Santa comes speeding to the ground. Suddenly there's a big cloud of dust as Santa hits. All the children and families are running, screaming in horror because they have just seen Santa Claus killed. But McPhee is down there in a Santa suit saying, I'm all right. But everyone was so terrified that they were running away and didn't hear him say Santa was okay. So he never was able to live down being the man who killed Santa Claus. And I know, I don't know if it's past or not, but there was a group out in Mesa that was going to do a stage version, like a radio drama of.
I would love to see that. And just to reiterate for the kids at home, Santa is okay.
Indeed, it was a mock Santa.
That was one heck of a story. You had me on pins and needles. I'm glad I dodged a bullet there, you know.
You did. All right. Well, I always like to ask people how they did, because sometimes the trivia can be kind of difficult sometimes. But, you know, Santa, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some Christmas cheer and just some of the background of some Arizona Christmas rituals, whether it be towns or cities, things like that. So
thank you for having me, Marshall, and thanks for spreading cheer the rest of the year. We all do a little bit of Santa's work the best we can. I've enjoyed being on your show, and I hope to see you on Christmas Eve. Of course, you won't see me; you'll be sleeping. But I'll be bringing y'all something nice this year. And
all right, I look forward to unwrapping those amazing gifts. So, Santa,
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Santa. Oh my gosh. You know, that was so much fun having Santa on as a guest for Arizona History Hour. I'm glad he was able to take time out of his busy schedule to chat about some of the Arizona adventures. And so for tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about From the Vault. And so, you know, when I got to Arizona, I was working in a little library in South Phoenix. And I remember going around the neighborhood, hearing stories about what was there. And there is over on 16th Street near Buckeye, on your way to the airport, is the old Sacred Heart Church. And so you'll notice it's the only building standing for quite a while. And so there was a community, but through the airport, everything was demoed. About 6,000 families were relocated. And that church is now on the Register of Historic Places. So it is saved. It opens up once a year for a service, and this year is going to be noon on Christmas Day. So I know a couple of friends and I are planning on going. So I do look forward to, I've never been inside of this church. It was built in the late 50s and really was the hub of that community. And so I am glad they were able to save that little piece of the community so that way we can go celebrate, but remember our history is indeed important. So now you'll see why I say share if you're on Facebook, because who else has Santa make an appearance on their show? Oh my gosh, how exciting that was. And so be sure and join us next week when my friend Marcelina will be our guest on our last show of the year. So I'm sure we will do some special things for that. So that will be Thursday night, 7 o'clock, right here, whether you are watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn. I think I forgot one, but YouTube. Did I say that? Where you can also go back and watch other episodes of Arizona History Happy Hour. So remember, if you have any stories of things you would like to share as well, you know, please let me know or ask me some questions. I love to hear from you all because that's where some of the best ideas come from. So I always love to give a shout out to Chris and Cole for that video, as well as PJ for making some delicious naughty nog. That is really good. And so as we say goodnight, You know, Macy's had their balloon parade, but you know, back in 64, we had our own balloon parade right here in downtown Phoenix. And so that's what we're going to take a look at. And there is no audio for this, but we just get to see these amazing balloons. Now, I don't think any of these are made at Goodyear like some of the Macy's parade balloons. But you can see everybody came out to watch these balloons roll through the parking lot in downtown Phoenix back in 1964. I think that's supposed to be a bear, not an anteater. And there were even marching bands. Oh, and as well as a famous TV couple, Wallace and Ladmo with Babes in Toyland. And look at that amazing peacock showing up. Wow. Oh, and here comes Wallace and Ladmo right here. Oh, for Legend City. Oh, that was one of the cars I bet that was on the track at their little utopia. Indeed, everyone, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or however you celebrate or non-celebrate. You be you and, you know, enjoy. I hope so many of you spend some time with loved ones and have some shared experience with others. So again, thank you all so much, and I will see you all next week.